Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
I was going to throw my radio voice in today, but I said, what's the point?
Well, until you did the I thought that was a good radio voice.
Yeah, I can do a radio voice if I really want to, but I don't like to. I like being me.
That's a radio voice.
I've progressed. I can.
When I have to carry the show, I try and channel my inner Gary, and every now and then get upset.
Or you could channel Reagan.
Yes, I can't do that. That's suave.
Or Rich Little.
Yeah.
Is Rich Little still alive? I can't remember.
I don't know. But he channels everybody else. I do channel Rich Little. Where are we going?
I'm only laughing because my son was watching like the Family Guy on his little phone, YouTube, whatever, and in one of the episodes. The main character, Peter, thinks he's talking to the ghost of Ronald Reagan. Well, it's actually Rich Little promoting his own show. It's class. I love that show. That's my sense of humor, right? I'm sorry. I'm just one of those rednecky guys. I enjoy that kind of humor. Nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
All right, well, welcome to the show. And what we do every Saturday is go over the news we put on the dailydrift.com. If you're not going there, you should. www.thedailydrift.com. It's
the news you need to know.
Perfect. That's exactly right. I just texted one of my friends. We're talking about something that I put on the agenda today. And I'm like, here's the link to the story. It's on thedailydrift.com. Are you not going to thedailydrift.com? Friends of mine not going to thedailydrift.com. Come on, people.
Absurd.
I mean, I put effort into that every day since 2010-ish. It might have been 2009. I don't know. It's been a long time. Coming up on a decade I've been doing this.
I'm trying to think how long I have been reading it.
I wish I could make money at it.
Monetize it.
Monetize it? That'll never happen. Well, if you miss us live, you can catch us on thedailydrift.com archived. It's also on Spreaker and SoundCloud, YouTube.
You can drive down south and listen tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, Sunday nights, you can hear us on Talk 92.1 in Valdosta, Georgia, WJHC Talk 107.5 in Jasper, Florida, and WLBB News Talk 1330 106.3 in Carrollton, Georgia. Sunday nights, overnight.
But if you're listening to us down there, then if you miss us down there,
but
it's
you'll have to
Spreaker.
Call in. Yeah. Spreaker's good. So anyways, big news overnight, right? We were kind of waiting to see. I kind of thought Trump had blown it out and then was backtracking a little bit, and they were going to wait because sometimes I thought revenge is a dish best served cold, right? But this isn't about revenge. It's about justice. It's not even about justice. It's about eliminating a threat. And here's what kills me about this.
Go ahead, tell me what it's about. I have so many conflicting reports about what it's about.
Or did we not have John Kerry and Barack Hussein Obama tell us that we got rid of all the chemicals by cutting a deal with Vladimir Putin and the Russians to get rid of all the chemicals in Syria? They're gone. Everything's great. Thank you, John Kerry and Barack Obama. You did a great job.
We made it a chemical-free zone, and a chemical attack happened anyhow. I'm shocked, I tell you.
Derek's telling us Rich Little is still alive at age 79.
Is he calling in?
No. You think? That's Reagan. I just shocked. No, not at all. But still, that would even one person on one of the media outlets say, you know what? These were all supposed to be. I just want one person to say, didn't we get rid of all the chemicals back under Barack Obama? Wasn't that one of his huge successes?
That and the red line.
Well, that's what it comes down to, right?
Weren't they related? Getting rid of the chemicals, the red line,
not
all that
about
stuff.
Taking out all his chemical weapons. That's probably never going to happen. Half of those chemical weapons are somewhere between ISIS and
Iraq. They're back in Iraq again.
They're back in Iraq, right? I mean, we always say there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Yes, there was. They were called chemical weapons, and they've been bouncing back and forth across the Levant there for a decade now.
So do you think Do you have, I mean, we talked about this the last time. There was a missile drop of, was it chemicals in the middle of a road somewhere? And we said maybe that was faked. Is there any part of you that thinks this might be faked? That ISIS did this to make Assad look bad so that we would go after Assad?
I that does cross my mind, and I see other people saying, how do we know it was really Assad? And the only thing that makes me think that there might be some truth that it wasn't Assad is that what's the end game for him? He's winning. He's going to maintain control. Why would you use chemical weapons now? What is the point? Where is the benefit to him, Russia, or Iran to do this? And that's the part I don't understand.
That's the part that bothers me.
So that's itching the back of my head a little bit. But if they're saying, and I wish, I don't think they gave us the proof last time, a year ago when they did this. Show us the proof. Show me some incontrovertible proof so that you can take that little edge out of my head.
The trick is that the intelligence services say we track every flight, we watch every movement, by satellite imagery, and so therefore we could verify that it left his air base and they dropped it on that town. So that leaves you with one thing to worry about. And the intelligence services lying to us.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't trust the deep state. I don't know how globally connected they are. I don't know
problem.
who to trust anymore.
It's
problem. Our government, and I don't trust them any more than Donald Trump does.
I'll tell you something I wrote today because you don't read what I write, so I'll have to tell you here.
Don't make me feel bad.
What if this wasn't about retaliation? What if this was basically to prove to the Russians and their weapons customers that their shiny stuff is not as shiny as our shiny stuff, that our shiny stuff can take out their shiny stuff. And this is really a message to NOCO, to China, to anybody else that's trusting in their Russian-made weapons to protect them from us that, hey, sorry, you need to go back and get your manufacturer's warranty checked. Yeah.
Well, here's the other issue. And if you start digging into 4chan and Reddit and all these other places, and one of the greatest guys to follow if you're a Twitter person, Thomas Wictor, Wictor, Thomas Wictor.
Rings a bell.
He's got some super long threads, super edgy. This guy is such a nerd and detail-oriented. He is the only author expert in the world on flamethrowers, right? And so
maybe that's where I read him when
him
I was
and his
reading
brother
up on
are like
flamethrowers.
these super connected, historian, factual, data-driven dudes. And you follow his threads, and they're always on the cutting edge and talking about the Saudis. And, one of the things that he says is that Saudis prepare battlefields years and years in advance. They do not take anything for granted. He thinks the Saudis are so deeply embedded in Syria right now that when they're ready to take over, and he thinks that's the way it sounds like it's moving, one of the reasons Trump said we want to get out is because there are some things going on being put into place to allow that area of the world to take care of itself, which in the end should happen, right? Why are we babysitting the Middle East? Let United Arab Emirates, let Saudi Arabia, let Israel. And the other thing that nobody's ever talking about, the Saudis and Israel have some gig going. Mm-hmm. It's not openly out there.
It's all anti-Iran.
But it's falling into place. You're now getting overflights of airlines allowed going to Israel over Saudi airspace. They've allowed the Israelis to use their airspace. Something is going on between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And I'm imagining that's also the United Arab Emirates. That's probably also Qatar, right? So something is going on over there. We don't know what it is. Maybe there's a reason we don't know yet.
It's anti-Iranian hegemony. That's what
exactly
it is.
Right. Okay, so that goes back to the Sunni-Shia conflict, right? So something's going on there. And I have to believe that, this, whatever happened in Syria last night, at least we had the UK and France involved. Where was Germany? Where was NATO?
Germany gave us verbal backing. They didn't give us military, but they gave us verbal backing. Yeah.
Well, let's take some calls here because we're building up. Hey, Joe from Wyandotte. Go ahead, Joe. Welcome to the show.
Well, this is really Rich Little, and I'm impersonating Joe from Wyandotte today.
Oh, man. Had me fooled.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a Reagan at first, but there you go. What's going on, Joe? I see you want to talk about one of our stories from the Daily Drift.
Yes, of course, I do pay attention to the Daily Drift because it is the
news you need to know.
Yes. And you have a story, leftist shout down conservative black NFL legend at lecture for speaking out against his, quote, own people, unquote. And, this stuff just never ends. It's ridiculous. And, of course, the article goes on to mention how he quotes how he grew up in the Deep South during the Jim Crow segregation laws.
Yeah.
And the left constantly mentions Jim Crow as if he were not a Democrat. And the Jim Crow laws were all passed by Democrats.
Yep.
And you hear George Wallace's name, who, of course, was a Democrat.
Well, you're jumping the shark on me because I actually have that kind of slated for the second half hour.
Call back later. Talk to you later, Joe.
But what else you got, Joe? Anything else?
No, that was it. It just, because Phil Stargell, of course, every once in a blue moon will rehash that. And, of course, the civil rights laws really were just sham laws. They weren't needed because the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, which guaranteed the equal rights, were all passed by Republicans. The Democrats just, there were some Republicans that opposed the civil rights laws based on the fact they weren't necessary.
Yeah.
We had already the
That's
constitutional amendments.
Yeah.
And the civil rights laws have given us the cake baking issue too.
Yeah.
That's the real problem there. Go ahead.
So we've got that second half hour, Joe, and I'm going to play a track, and we'll cut that and comment on that. So if you want to call back, then we'll get you back on too. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, because that's special rights. We're supposed to have equal rights, not special rights.
Right. All right. Well, thanks, Joe.
Take care, guys. Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye. Let's take a call from Ken in Livonia. Ken, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a point about Syria that seems to be getting buried, and that is now I happen to read articles that were written by pastors and leaders within the Orthodox Church, which has ties to Christian groups in Syria. I also had the opportunity to speak to some pastors with the Antiochian Orthodox Church, which they're Syrian, and they also have connections to Christians on the ground in Syria. And the one thing that is very clear, their perspective, is that Assad has been, and so was his father before him, a friend to the Christian community, a defender of the Christian community, and that the people that our government wants to defend against his government, those are the Muslims that have been slaughtering the Christians. Those are the Muslims that have been destroying what's left of the Christian churches in Syria. So I have a big problem. My problem is, why do we want to, I'm a Christian, why do we want to defend those Muslims who've been killing, slaughtering Christian babies, Christian women, Christian old people, blown up Christian churches, when Assad is our defense? I mean, to me,
Ken,
as a Christian, it's the stupidest thing that our government could be doing.
Yeah,
Ken, I heard this argument from you this morning on Pastor Levon's show, and I totally disagree with you. Assad is a butcher. Okay,
I'm not saying he's not a butcher.
Okay, but there's more. But wait, there's more. Okay, he also, as part of his global strategy, and being supported by Iran, so Assad was a puppet of Iran, and he was making Lebanon and Hezbollah his puppet. So basically, Hezbollah was being funded through Damascus, through Assad. Hezbollah attacking Israel, attacking the Christians in Lebanon. We're talking about driving the Christians out of Lebanon directly with Assad's support. So I understand what you're saying. It was the same argument about Saddam Hussein and Christians. Well, he didn't bother the Christians, so we'll just let him go on being a butcher. We're not the world's policeman, but I'm not going to give him a pass on this because he was not.
Yeah, well, it's a complicated issue, and for anyone to think it's just cut and dry, black and white, is completely wrong. So, Ken, I appreciate your points. Good points made, because there is an issue with Christians being persecuted.
The thing that I want to look at when we're dealing with this is I am not about to weaken the safety of the Christians in Syria. And I hear people talk about, okay, now we have no proof that he actually used these weapons on these people. And